Welcome back to Call to Community. We are reading chapter 41 of this wonderful book. This week's chapter is entitled Forgiveness. And it's by Jan Christoph Arnold, who was the Bruderhof elder for many years. And he writes in this chapter about his own experiences in Christian community with forgiveness and the importance and the crucial importance and necessity of finding forgiveness for people who are close to us, who hurt us. And yeah, forgiveness is one of these things that you really can't go for too long without coming up against, because people have a way of hurting each other, especially when they live close together, oftentimes without even realizing it.
Yeah, it's just human nature and the ability to forgive over and over again. I think it's an attitude, and you have to do it once, and then Johann Christoph Arnold points out that it becomes easier with each time that you choose to adopt that attitude, and how it's not so much for the person that's hurt you, but more so that you yourself can experience God's mercy and grace.
Right. So what is forgiveness? It's a word that we hear a lot about. There's been many news stories about people forgiving other people. What does it mean to forgive someone?
Wow, that is a question for the ages.
Does it mean to excuse someone's bad behavior?
No, definitely not. Nor does it mean just sweeping under the rug or not confronting something that's wrong. Forgiveness can both confront and also heal hurts. And I don't really know the exact definition, except that forgiveness is not something that we find within ourselves. It's actually, I think it's God's mercy and grace to us as found in the Sermon on the Mount, where, of course, Jesus gave us the Lord's Prayer, taught us how to pray, and then right after that talks about forgiveness in those words, saying, if you don't forgive those that do harm to you, God will not forgive you. So there's this direct connection between God's mercy to each of us fallen human beings, and then us turning around and choosing to forgive the little hurts, the big hurts, everything in between. So I don't think there's two kinds of forgiveness, but obviously it's easier to forgive a stranger or somebody that you've never met that's done harm to you for your own sake. But I think what's a lot more complicated and often very challenging, especially for us in community, is all the little grudges and situations that can accumulate on a daily basis, really. To choose to forgive those and not let them build up and cause resentment and hurt and anger, and thereby gossip and fear of other people. To rid ourselves of that, really it requires daily forgiveness and an attitude of choosing that over everything else.
Yeah. I think it really, like you say, it comes down to an attitude, a decision of the will. It is a grace, but it is a decision of the will not to nurture feelings of anger, bitterness, and resentment, and having the self-discipline to say no to those feelings, especially when they may be justified, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
People do. We're not talking like about theoretical hurt that people do to each other. We're sensitive beings. We have souls. We have spirits, and a harsh word or action can really do damage. Can do actual damage to someone. So in those cases, to be able, rather than to nurture it and to be a victim, and that's something I've thought quite a bit about. As we in the current cultural moment, the victim culture has become sort of a mainstream, and people seem to always be trying to put themselves up as victims and talk about their hurts and their pains. And while I understand that and sometimes there is a need to to share the things that hurt us, that can also be done in a way that is not redemptive, and that actually just turns into a cycle of continuing to bring stuff up that hurts and talking about it, and never actually then taking responsibility.
Yeah, I think that cycle that you mentioned is really important, because choosing a victim mentality can often perpetuate evil and selfishness just over and over and over again. And that's also what this chapter covers. It's very easy when something's completely justified, some harm or hurt is done to another or to yourself, and it's completely justified, right? And you can choose to just go, like if I talk to you about it and work you up against somebody else here on the community, how would that help? How would that bring resolution to the conflict? So we have to choose to forgive and actually take a hard look and see where we ourselves have hurt others, because it's there. We're human beings. And then just choose to adopt that attitude every day, like you mentioned.
Yeah. Any one of us can be the person who stops a cycle, where you're trying to get retribution, where you're trying to get someone else to say sorry, and actually turn it around and be the one, to say sorry yourself. And, those are daily, and that's why we, the Lord's Prayer, we pray every day, because it's a daily decision of the will, and a daily attitude to adopt. So, anything else from this chapter?
Well, I like the conclusion where Thomas à Kempis is quoted, where he advised fellow monks that our peace in this life should depend on humble forbearance rather than on the absence of adversity. This forbearance, which is willingness to forgive, is the secret of a truly happy life. I thought that was extremely wise, and also connects to this other theme that's found in this chapter between true peace in community and how you can't have that without daily forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other piece I thought was really important. All of us have wronged and have been wronged by others at some point in our lives, yet to dwell on human failings is to deny the power of love and forgiveness. It is really easy to dwell on human failings because there are so many of them, and they come into sharp relief in community, in ourselves and in the people around us. Mm-hmm. And it's very easy to get very dark about how bad things are and the state of the community and the state of relationships between people. But that really misses the point. What's the point of Jesus' message, right? It's reconciliation. It's forgiveness. It's actually extremely positive. So yes, confront things that are tough, that are hard, and forgive. But then, let's focus on the positive, good news of the gospel. So that's the happy message for this week. Forgive the people around you, and let us know what you think in the comments. See you next week.